This video will illustrate my family history on my mother's side of the family tree through interviews with my grandparents, Jean Paul and Margaret Powers.
So I understand both of your parents were born in Ireland?
Yes, I'm a product, I'm lucky enough to say, of two wonderful Irish people. My dad came to the United States when he was 18. He met my mother in San Francisco 5 years later. She came in through Canada. My dad came through Ellis Island. At that time, they were not particularly nice to the Irish immigrants because they thought the Pope was going to come over here and control the country, so they had a very difficult time. My dad had to work in the coal mine, in the copper mines in Butte, Montana, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. There were no unions or anything, but they were very glad to have any kind of a job just to be in this wonderful country. And he met my mother at a dance in San Francisco. They got married, came down to Los Angeles. My dad went on the Los Angeles Police Department, which he loved every moment of it, and he stayed on there, on the police department, until he passed away.
Okay.
Okay?
And then, so you grew up during the Great Depression?
Yes.
Okay.
But it didn't impact us because my dad had a job with the police department, and they didn't cut any pays or any staff or anything, so we were comfortable with that. And when I was 13, my mother got sick on Monday and died on Wednesday. She had never been sick in her life, but we did not realize that she did have a defect in her heart. And when my dad came home on Tuesday, he knew my mother was dying, and he called the doctor out to the house, and the doctor said, if we move her now, she will die. And my dad did not want her to die at home because we were all kids there. So we all knelt around her bed and prayed that night. But in the morning, when I came home from school, they were taking my mother out. She had died.
Okay.
And it was very difficult for all of us.
So do you think you could describe a little bit about how life was for your family during World War II?
Well, we were all rationed on different things that we could buy or that were available to us because anything that could be sent to the soldiers who were defending our freedom were sent to them, so we couldn't you couldn't own a car and go very far on the weekend because gas was rationed, and if we wanted to go to Arizona to visit our aunts, we couldn't do that. But we managed. Everybody in the country was united behind the servicemen. My dad used to bring servicemen home for dinner on Sunday night because my dad worked on Sunday. And they were people we didn't even know, but it was a safe, sane time to be home without a mother because, excuse me, life was more simple, I'll put it that way. But anyway, growing up during the war, I think made all of us better people because we were not mean and nasty with people we didn't know. We all were more friendly, and if you saw a serviceman out on the street wanting a ride, you always gave them a ride, and they didn't steal your money. It was a much more civilized time.
So in World War I, what do you remember about that time in your family's history? What exactly was happening?
Well, I remember my father was one of 7 brothers. Of the brothers, 4 of them were military academy graduates, 3 from West Point, 1 from Annapolis, and made the military their life. I was born in 1927 and grew up during the Depression years as a youngster. And that lasted until World War II started. And that was about the time I was in the 9th grade, maybe something like that. I do remember exactly what the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed that started World War II for us. I remember who I was with. I was with 2 of my closest friends. that I buddied with. They were a year older than me, and a year later in school. Later on, they both joined the Marines. One was killed, and the other was wounded badly.
Okay.
I graduated from high school in 1945. I was still 17, and a couple months later, I enlisted in the Army. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed my experience in the Army. I thought it was great, and maybe one of the best things that ever happened to me. And when I got out, I was 19, and I was much more mature. I was able to go to college on the GI Bill.
Okay.
I got 4 years of college where they paid all tuition, all books, and gave me an extra $75 a month under the GI Bill.
Okay.
And then when we got married and bought our first house, we used the GI loan on the house with very low interest rates. So it all for me was very positive. It wasn't for everybody, but for me it was. And